Concerns are growing this morning over airline safety after another mid-air emergency saw a passenger allegedly try to open multiple plane doors while in the air. This is the second incident of its kind in a single week. A Jordanian man is in custody this morning, accused of trying to open the emergency exit doors on a Sydney-bound flight from Malaysia. It follows a terrifyingly similar incident last week where a woman flying from Bali to Melbourne also allegedly attempted to open an aircraft door mid-flight. Joining us now is former pilot David Oliver. Great to have you with us. So, first off, is it actually possible and how dangerous is it to open the door?
Look, Matt, in flight, it's virtually impossible to open the door. The doors are known as plug-type doors, which means to open them, you first have to, the door has to move inwards before it can then be moved outwards on the ground so passengers could get on and off the aircraft. But in flight, the cabin is pressurised, which means that the air pressure in the cabin is much greater than that outside. So it's impossible for the door then to be moved inward to open the door. If someone tried to do that in flight, they're not going to succeed. OK,
well, that's great news. Let's talk about this. Allegedly, the flight from Malaysia to Sydney, the man was intoxicated. How hard is it for the flight staff to be able to restrain someone who just wants to do the wrong thing?
Well, the cabin crew, and in fact the pilots as well, have annual training in making passengers calm down verbally through the first instance, and if that's not successful, then they can use physical restraints to keep them seated.
And how much control do we actually have over security with inbound flights, leaving a port like Malaysia or Bali, for the type of people that are getting on these flights?
Well, most passengers get on without any screening apart from the normal checking of baggage, unless they're blacklisted by the airlines because of some previous incident, then we really don't know much about them.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? The flight from Bali was forced to turn around. I mean, what's the normal procedure?
Well, in that case, it must have been that the pilots were concerned that the passenger needed medical attention. Clearly, they had a medical episode, whether it was through alcohol or something else. But to turn around, the pilots must have been concerned that there could have been future possible events.
Do air marshals still exist? Because we used to hear about them and you know, in the movies and all that sort of stuff. And should airlines potentially maybe re-engage with that?
You know, I'm not sure if the air marshals are still in flight. I've been out of the business for just a few years now, so I'm not quite sure if they're still operating. They were always a deterrent because you never knew if the air marshal was on board. In fact, as a pilot, you're only told when you board the aircraft that there's going to be an air marshal on board. So whether they should or shouldn't be, that's a matter for the security people. So
when you were flying, you had an air marshal on board at times. Did you ever have to engage them?
Never. I had them on board a few times, but never engaged with them. You're not even supposed to acknowledge them because they're there incognito.
Right, unless something happens, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Appreciate your time. Thanks for coming.
Pleasure.
Here's Nat.